Is that true?
Absolutely.
And I am not dull.
Yes, you are.
And I am not a vulgar little man.
Yes, you are.
You are vulgar, you look vulgar, and you're dull. I have a pronouncement to make. My rigor is on the increase.
Did you have that whiskey and soda, as I told you?
No. She, whom you once loved, refused to cough up the key.
She refused? Give me the key to the cupboard that should never be locked.
I will do nothing of the sort.
Give it to me, I tell you.
I will not.
Then you put me in the hideous position of having to reveal myself as a man who's always known what it was.
You have had the audacity to go to that cupboard unknown to me.
Every night since I've come here, I have covered my face, with the exception of that part which is used for drinking, with shame.
You...
Every night you had a whiskey and soda without telling me about it.
Well, you had your cigar, and only because you're cold will I give you one now. Helen, be so good as to fetch him a small whiskey and soda.
She will do nothing of the sort.
Silence. Helen. It's all right. I've put your bags in the car.
How dare you whisper to my late fiancée?
And where are you going?
I'm going to talk to Helen.
Are you going to talk to Helen, or are you going to make that small whiskey and soda I ordered for you a large one?
How dare you, you cad.
Oh, I could cry with shame.
Which is precisely what you are going to do, lovey.
Oh, don't call me lovey, you hateful creature.
Oh, but you are. Maria, dear, during the last 5 hours I have been thinking very deeply, and I have come to 2 conclusions about myself.
I have come to one without thinking.
The first is, I realize you love me very much. The second is, you're right to.
From the moment you came into the room, I thought I recognized the smell of cooking sherry.
And let me point this out to you, that were it not for my constant fidelity to you during the last 15 years, I might be standing here tonight described by the world as the Napoleon of lovers.
On the other hand, it's possible you might not.
True, but I have no regrets. And furthermore, I still propose to remain faithful to the happy memories I have of you before I found you out.
Thank you very much.
My epitaph will be, he turned a woman who in her youth was one of the most unpleasant of God's creatures into, in her middle age, a perfect pet.
Indeed. May I ask what I will be doing whilst you are attempting to do that?
Nothing. You won't know until it's too late.
Will you please tell me what all this means?
It means, Maria, that I've not finally, as it were, given you up.
Talk stupidities if you must, but don't breathe over me. I hate it.
Try as I will, I still care for you.
Don't waste any more of your time.
Oh, nonsense. One word from me, you know you'd fall violently into my arms.
If you don't leave me, I shall, but not in the sense you mean it.
Do you realize, Maria, you are still a very beautiful woman.
I do, and mind your own business.
Oh, but it is my business, because in a month from today, you will not only be beautiful, but you will also be one of the sweetest women in the world.
Please don't think me impertinent, but assuming it is necessary, how do you propose to do that?
The facts are in this letter, which it is my intention to place upon the table in the hall before I leave for London.
Give it to me at once.
Certainly not.
Just as you like, anyway. I don't suppose I shall ever read it.
Oh, you will read it again and again, and I have no hesitation in saying that if the instructions in this letter are carried out, it'll make you the woman I thought you were 3 weeks ago. It may even mean that it will bring us such happiness that rather than be separated from each other again, we...
will be the first married couple to swim the channel.
Exactly.
Ah, beast.
Your interest is awakened. That is all to the good.
Go away, I'm going to cry.
Oh, you needn't yet. That's part of the instructions in the letter.
You bully.
Oh, the reverse. One of the most tender-hearted fellows in the world. May I ask what's the matter with you?
There wasn't any soda.
Look at it.
Oh, give me the key. Why did you give it me without a protest?
I have my reasons.
You've drunk it all. If you have, George, you'll pay for it, and you'll pay for it very dearly.
I fear nothing. That's the kind of fellow I am.
Very well.
You're not leaving me with this horrid little creature, are you?
For the moment, I am. I'm going to see if my suspicions are correct.
Boastful brute! Mrs. Whistler, I don't wish to speak to you, but I have to.
I'm terribly sorry, but I don't wish to speak to you.
Would you kindly sit down? I feel less frightened of you when you're sitting.
Say what you have to say, and say it quickly.
Very well. In the cause of both our futures, are you prepared to call a truce for the space of 5 minutes only of our dislike of each other?
The reason?
Love.
"5 minutes.
A few hours from now, Richard and myself will have left this house forever.
Thank heaven.
That's not true. Moreover, if he does leave tomorrow morning, you may lose him entirely. He may never want to see you again.
I hope you won't.
Ah, very well.
Come back. What were you going to say?
Will you stop pretending?
Yes.
Do you like him or not?
Yes.
Do you want him to catch the 6 o'clock train tomorrow morning?
No.
Do you love him?
Don't shout.
Do you love him?
Yes, you beast.
Then why don't you say so?
I suppose a woman's entitled to some modesty.
Not when you're on the verge of losing your loved one.
You look ridiculous enough without looking sentimental. Having discovered all this, will you tell me what it means?
I don't want to leave at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Why not?
In the past 3 hours, I have discovered that I, too, am in love.
With yourself?
If it comes to that...
What's that for?
To remind us that there is a truce going on.
Continue.
I have discovered that I am on the verge of losing one of the world's most exquisite creatures. Forgive me, I close my eyes. I see her divine face, her little hands, her unusual figure.
Oh, shut up.
Oi.
I beg your pardon.
Granted. And as you don't understand romance, I'll be brief. I love her.
What are you going to do about it?
We must first cause a sensation.
How?
I shall simply fling myself to the floor, in the attitude worthy of a sick man, and you will call violently for Richard.
Do you think you can convince him?
Well, as easy as one could a doctor. I mean, he's not very bright.
But how will you do it?
I shall rely on simple groans.
Well, it might work, I suppose. Well, if we're going to do it, hadn't we better begin?
Very well. Now, the mise-en-scène is important. How about here?
Oh, that's too comfortable. You said the floor.
Oh, you know. Hey, whose side are you on?
My own. I want this to work. Whoever heard of anyone collapsing onto a cushion?
Well, I should have thought it was the minimum requirement, however, let it pass.
Are you ready for me to scream?
Yes. No, wait. At the right moment, I shall pretend to feel a little bit better and ask Richard to help me up to my bed. That'll be your opportunity, Maria, to bring conviction to our plan by showing some practical solicitude for my welfare.
What are you talking about?
Well, for instance, I mean, I've forgotten my hot water bottle. You could offer to lend me yours.
Well, if I did, it'd smell a rat immediately.
Well, perhaps if there's a little Benjers in the house, some brought to me on a tray might not be unconvincing.
I suppose you wouldn't like a band from London?
And to be absolutely certain of success, you may find yourself having to wait on me a good deal.
I knew from the beginning you'd get the better of this.
Mrs. Westlake, will you please call Richard? And kindly remember that I have undertaken the intelligent part.
Ready?
Yes.
Richard! Richard!
Darling, what's the matter?
It's George.
He's been rude to you.
No. I'm wondering if he'll ever be rude to anyone again.
George, darling, whatever's happened?
Kiss me, Hardy.
He must be delirious. George, poor darling. We were sitting here talking when suddenly he clutched his heart, screamed with pain, and fell violently to the floor.
Good heavens.
Richard, help him. I'm so worried.
Yes, all right, Helen, dear. I'll do whatever I can.
Oh, where am
I
I?
don't know.
Mother!
He's hysterical. You're overdoing it.
So you... Oh, where's my good friend, Richard?
Here I am, old boy.
Oh, Richard, help me to my room. I feel I haven't long.
Oh, don't say that, old fellow.
Oh, forgive me, Maria. Forgive me, Helena.
Is he terribly ill, do you think?
He's terribly. Nice little man. I feel so upset.
I shall go to him.
No, don't. Unless I'm very much mistaken, he is, at this moment, persuading Richard to, help him take his clothes off for him.
I wish I hadn't been so horrid to him.
Oh, he's forgiven you, I'm sure. Nice little man. I misjudged him terribly.
Why doesn't Richard come back and tell me?
I gather you still like him.
Yes, I do. There's something about George you can't help liking, try as you will not to. Oh, why doesn't Richard come back?
Patience, Helen, dear.
But I may be able to do something for him.
Helen.
Quickly, how is he?
Splendid.
Splendid? How can a man be suddenly splendid who collapsed on this floor a moment ago as he did?
Too healthy, I expect.
What do you mean?
Pulse is normal, no temperature.
But shouldn't one of us go and fetch a doctor?
Oh, yes, that's a good idea. I'll go and tell George to do it.
Oh, you horrid, unsympathetic man.
No, not at all. Oh, and I made a marvellous suggestion to him. I pointed out that in the event of this being a long illness, how much nicer your room would be than the one he was in.
Did he agree?
I didn't say, but it's in your bed.
I'm glad.
Oh, and I nearly forgot. In the midst of some rather curious noises, which I took to be singing, but which he explained to me were groans, he asked me to send you to him at once.
Why didn't you tell me that before?
Well, I was so upset to see poor old George looking so well.
I would never have believed that there could be anyone in this world so cruel and unsympathetic as you are.
Now's our chance.
Will you explain to me what all this means?
George doesn't want to leave you tonight.
He's only pretending to be ill.
Twice he had to put his head under the pillow to prevent himself from laughing. Another hour, nothing will be able to get away from here.
Mariah told me the other day that she and her husband were once snowed up here for 3 weeks.
Let us pray that this time it will be for a month.
Is it fair to take the car and leave them without a chance in the world of getting away from here?
Fair. It's the kindest thing that's ever been done to them. Such hell as a month alone here together will make them the nicest people in the world.
It's a cruel thing to do.
What do you mean you don't want to leave George?
I don't very much.
Do you love him?
I think I do.
Then for heaven's sake, do this for them. And then I believe I shall be able to show you the two people we thought we liked.
But it may kill them both.
It'll cure them both. Thank heavens I shan't be here when she reads that. Are you ready?
Yes. I hate doing it, but I know you're right.
I know I am.
Poor darling George.
Poor sweet Mariah.
Richard? Richard?